All right, so we're gonna finish this worksheet by finishing up the ear, and this one doesn't take very long to do. So we will finish this up, and then we should be able to get your portraits into me. Some of you have already done that, and then the others of you need to finish up doing that, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start with our H pencil. There's handles on the side. All right, so just kind of similar to the nose, we're gonna break the ear up into a couple just real basic shapes to start with, okay? So let me try and adjust my lights here. They're like in my way. All right, so to change or to break this down, we're just gonna break the ear up into two separate circles, and then we will connect it all together, okay? So you've got a larger circle that you're kind of wanting to go more on the right-hand side in your box. And it's fairly large. Be about like the size of a golf ball, kind of. Okay, then you're going to have a smaller circle that is going to be kind of off-centered to the left. And they are kind of sort of overlap just a little bit. It's going to be something like that. Okay, so that's just how you can kind of break it down basic just to begin with. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to establish the outer outline of the ear. So I'm going to start at the top left of the big circle. I'm going to bring that around. I'm going to kind of cut into that big circle a little bit. And then I'm going to straighten out that line. So I'm going to straighten it out, connect both the circles together. And then I'm going to loop underneath there. And then kind of shape up that left side of the earlobe. Okay, kind of like that. All right, and now all I'm doing is erasing out those inner circle lines because I don't need them anymore. Okay, so guys, here's just your most basic line shape. What you need. Okay. Now what I'm going to go through and do is basically the ear is just kind of broken up into a lot of different like lines and shapes. So whenever I draw some of the shapes, I'll even put some base value down to show that it's a shadow rather than being like a part of the ear. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and establish this inner fold line. So it starts down quite a bit further than the top of the ear. So it starts kind of right about here. And then all I'm doing is just kind of copying the worksheet as much as possible. And I'm just trying to mimic that same line. Okay, so something like that. Okay, so kind of like a half, well, not really, kind of like a hook, an upside down hook. All right. Next part that I'm going to put in is the tragus, which is this triangular piece right here. So it starts, kind of right in here. It's kind of in there like that. So I'm just putting in a triangle. And then I'm going to go ahead and start drawing in this like shadow area. So I'm going to loop down. So I've got my tragus here. And then I've got a loop that happens right here. And then I'll pause for a little bit. Okay, you guys good? Okay, so I've got the tragus in there, add this little loop. Now I have this little hill that I need to put in there. And I kind of got it started. So I just need to kind of finish that out. Right there. Then I have another big old loop that will get really close to this line. And then it comes up and then kind of curves back around and disappears under the fold. So got this loop right here. It's kind of a backwards C. And then it loops up, going the opposite direction, and just disappears right behind that ear fold. All right, just like that. Now I'll pause and let some of you kind of catch up a little bit. All right. Everybody doing okay so far? My speed okay? Yeah. All right. Next part is I'm going to go ahead and get this shadow that's kind of behind the tragus in there. So I'm just going to try to copy the best that I can and just kind of draw that shadow in there as that shape. It's kind of something like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and, just so I don't confuse myself, I'm going to get some base value in there just to kind of mark it off from the other parts. So this part is this shadow right in here, right behind the tragus. That's what this is. All right, next I'm going to go for this shadow, and it pretty much touches the one that I've already made there. And it comes right off of that ear fold line. So about right here, it kind of curves down almost like a yin and yang kind of curve. So it comes out like that, goes in, and gets real close and kind of disappears into that line that we made previously. And I'll go ahead and mark off, give it a little base value. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, last part that I'm going to draw in is this shadow here. And then I'm going to switch over to the B pencil. So this one doesn't take too long. Okay. So you guys can kind of see that it curves a little bit here. It's kind of flat-ish on the bottom and then curves up a little bit. Then it kind of goes flat again, and then it curves back down and disappears into that ear fold. And I'll go ahead and put some base value into that too. All right, and that is it for the H pencil. So we're going to switch over to the B pencil here. I'm going to make sure it's nice and sharp. All right, you guys ready? I'm going to take that. Thank you. All right, here we go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to work my value from the bottom up. So the first part that I'm going to start on is the value that is behind the earlobe. I'm going to start there first, and then I'm just going to work my way from the bottom upwards, okay? So all I'm doing is I'm just trying to copy my worksheet as closely as I possibly can. Okay, this shadow that starts behind the earlobe, it does come up pretty far. up the ear. And then they went ahead and they kind of did their value like kind of sketchy in lines. You can do that if you want, or you can just leave it solid. Okay, so I'm trying to match the values as best as I can. Get it real nice and dark around that ear. Okay, so just working through, trying to match as best as I can. It's not exact, that's okay. All right. Okay, now in the earlobe itself, if you guys notice, you'll see that you've got a shadow that starts in here and it doesn't quite go to the very edge. There is a little bit of a space there, but it starts down here and then it goes up the side of the ear and then ends right about here. So I'm going to go ahead and just get that in, just real nice and light. So again, I'm really close to the edge, but I'm not technically touching the edge of the ear. Okay, so I've got that little shadow that's in there. Now I'm going to kind of work some of the shadow around the tragus area. That's that little triangular part that we put in there, about here and right about in here. All right, now I'm going to start working on, I've got a little bit of value in this little kind of hill area. So I've got here and here, and then I've got quite a bit of value that is on that outer edge of the ear fold on the inside of the ear. So you guys can just watch where I start. So I'm underneath this little hill part. I've got a little shadow there. And I've got a little bit of a one there. And then I've got a pretty good shadow pulling through in this area. Okay. I'll just pause for a little bit, let some people catch up. All right, next area that I want to work in are these two dark shadows. I laid some base value in there, but now I want to darken them up. And then especially this top one, it's pretty much the darkest thing we've got in here. So you can make that top one here, kind of top middle, all the way to a 10. Okay, so I'm just filling this shadow area in more. Okay, and it kind of bridges over into that top shadow up there, top middle. I'm going to kind of clean some stuff up here. Here we go. Okay, kind of like that. Okay, then in this little shape, I was just kind of noticing mine looks like a little bird silhouette, kind of. In this shape here, we've got a couple little shadows that pull through. You have one that's kind of in the upper right that kind of hugs that curve. And then you have another that is the bottom left. And it kind of pulls all the way through. Right in there. Okay. Now I'm going to bump up and go to the very, very top. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling that in because I already had some base value in there. Okay, and it kind of comes down a little bit, really close to the edge, but not quite. Has almost like a little tail kind of right in there. Okay. And then I've got one last little bit, and then it's all blending, pretty much. Okay, so last area to concentrate on is the shadow that's kind of pulling up behind the top of the ear. They've kind of got some wrinkle things going on. And bring that down and around right about there. Okay, kind of like that. And then I'm going to use my tortillon for the rest. Okay, so now you are at blending. So just like what I did with my pencil, I'm just going to start on the bottom of the ear and I'm going to just work my way up. Okay, so kind of working in my darker areas first as well. And then on my lighter areas, like where my shadows are within the ear, I want to use my tortillon really, really lightly. Okay, so you're just blending that stuff out really, really, really lightly on the inside of the ear. Okay, I'm almost done with my blending. Okay guys, and that's pretty much it. Mine looks a little different, but that's okay. It's just practice. All right, so that should be it, and you should have everything in there: an eye, nose, mouth, and an ear. Okay.